Misota, first of all, congratulations to this excellent Africa Day. It was really a pleasure to listen to it so far. Can you tell us what are your takeaways so far, and what is your take on Austrian business in Africa?
Well, I think the keynote speakers, I think they were excellent keynote speakers, and they brought it pretty much to the point. There are a couple of mega trends we see in Austria, and each one of them, in Africa, and each one of them offers tremendous opportunities for Austrian companies. We spoke about the demographic change, having a huge market of African consumers, seeing the urbanization in Africa, which offers a tremendous opportunities for water technologies, waste management, and so on and so on. We heard about the infrastructure gap, which offers huge opportunities again in connecting the African cities for Austrian companies. We spoke about industrialization. The industrial output of the African continent will double within the next 10 to 15 years. Again, opportunities for machineries, but also opportunities for investment. And within this, we spoke about this young entrepreneurship spirit in Africa, this partnership on this level, this technology leapfrogging. So she presented another part of the continent, and again, huge opportunities for Austria.
And I believe that you have some excellent success stories here for us today. So the stage is yours for you and your guests.
Thank you very much. Well, we had these keynote speakers, and we spoke about all these opportunities in megatrends, but I think now it's the time to get a little bit into working mode. We wanted to dive into it and present you how it can be done, how you can be successful on the continent. Because we spoke, there's huge opportunities, but there are challenges, and it's not that easy. You need time, you need commitment, you need partners, and we have to work with the continent on eye level. And we have selected 3 outstanding Austrian companies. Spoke about the megatrends in the field of education, digital education, in the field of healthcare, in the field of waste management, and I will present you now within the next 15-20 minutes. It's rather short, hands-on, how they have been successful. And we start with Theresa WUTZ, please. Theresa works for the Austrian company EEE Austria. We have to mention it also, which is in the field of education technologies, digital learning, and all tools which you can help to in the education sector. Yourself, you're the African expert. You're the spearhead of the company on the African continent with a lot of experience. And please, the stage is yours.
So first of all, thank you very much for the invitation. As a speaker and representative of the company EEE Austria International Projects, it's a great honor, and also special thanks to Mr. Martin Woller, the Regional Director of Africa and Middle East here in the headquarters of the Chamber of Commerce, for the invitation. And the history of EEE Austria and Africa seems to be a short one when you just have a short look at it, but altogether EEE Austria is internationally active for more than 20 years, and we already have implemented projects successfully on the African continent about 15 years ago. It was projects about digitalization of education and training, and then we had a long break of almost 10 years on the African market. So consequently, what we had to do is we had to start from the scratch about 5 years ago. And we had to establish new local networks and contacts. And we also had to learn that those newly established local contacts need to be followed up consequently, closely, on a regular basis, because really nothing will happen by itself. Yeah? But if you follow this, if you take a deep breath first at all, and secondly, if you focus, which is the most important, focus, then it will work. So what we did about 5 years ago, we focused on East Africa, especially on Tanzania. And this focus of EEE Austria on Tanzania was actually triggered by an official business delegation trip organized by the commercial section of Austrian Embassy in Nairobi and accompanied by the Honorable Ambassador, Mr. Dr. Christian Fellner. And This was actually our door opener for the Tanzanian market, and it built the first brick for our further market or further project and business development activities in Tanzania. And finally, 3 years later, about 3 years later, remember, previously I said take a deep breath when entering the African market. And following another official business delegation trip, also organized by commercial section of Austrian Embassy in Nairobi, and accompanied again by our Honorable Ambassador, Dr. Christian Fellner, but also by Honorable Minister of Labor and Economy, Dr. Martin Kocher. The contracts of our first project in Tanzania were signed. So this is actually the most important recommendation or learning that I could pass to you now. Use all the offers and services of Advantage Austria, the Chamber of Commerce, because it could be a door opener for you when you follow up consequently. So, yeah. And finally, I also would like to use the opportunity to thank for all the government support that we have received all the way along, and also by all the support that we have received by Advantage Austria and the Chamber of Commerce. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mrs. WUTZ, for a little bit giving us an insight. I mean, we have all the trade commissioners from the African continent here with us in Vienna for the next 2 days. So please also use this opportunity. They are just one floor up and in the octagon, most of you probably know, to give you these first ideas and thoughts. I think you mentioned one important fact. In fact, one important thing is to have the right partners on both sides. Obviously, so we are this independent partner who can connect the African businesses to reliable Austrian companies and the Austrian companies to reliable African partners. Well, we spoke about education. Next up is the field of healthcare, and I'm very happy that we have Ekkehart STREMITZER from the Austrian company AME. Well, they are one of the leading providers of healthcare solutions. Please take it. They are one of the leading providers of healthcare solutions, if I may say, all over the world. You're very much active also in Asia, especially in China, but you're also spearheading, I think, your efforts in Africa, and if I'm not mistaken, they are a very successful project, well, not only, but also in Kenya and in Togo recently. Well, Ekkehart is the managing director. Please, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Actually, our history in Africa also goes way back until the year 2001, when we as AME did our first project in Africa. That was in South Africa. It was a project in the field of hospital IT. We did a PPP project in the city of Durban. This PPP project, or PFI as it is called in South Africa, Private Financing Initiative, was a project that went over a period of 15 years, and we have successfully concluded our part in the year 2016-2017. Since that, yes, we did focus more on Asia, but actually, and my personal history is very much linked to China. And here comes the next thing. You know, I've noticed the Chinese companies being very, very active in Africa, and I did notice that on my frequent visits to China and the project business that we did there. And so, you know, kind of thought we have to revive our African strategy and our African activities. And it actually quite helped in Africa, you know, when I keep telling potential clients and customers that we are doing a lot of projects in China, then they ask, okay, what are you buying from the Chinese? No, we are not buying from the Chinese. We are up to now doing a lot of projects in China, very successful projects in the field of healthcare. So that brought us back to the idea, let's try again Africa, and it has been a very successful road until or starting from the year 2017. And so AME is a company, we are active in the field of healthcare. We are building turnkey specialized hospitals, turnkey clinics. We are doing medical equipment packages. We are quite active in the field of hospital information systems, hospital IT. So this is the field that we are active mainly in Asia, in Africa now, and parts of Europe. Theresa has mentioned a very, very important factor in this whole aspect, that is visits to Africa, trade missions, and I really would like to mention this particular trade mission that we did actually in that was end of November, beginning of December in the year 2020. That was at the heyday of COVID. And I still remember there was a big controversy in the Chamber of Commerce whether it is possible and acceptable to actually organize a trade mission. And I think it was absolutely perfect and absolutely justified to do so. There was a concrete success with Theresa's project. I'm still waiting for my first project in Tanzania, but I have been successful in Kenya, and also in the course of the visit of Minister Kocher in October, we have actually signed our second project in Kenya. In addition to Kenya, we have carried out projects in Mozambique, in Uganda. We are currently executing a project in Burkina Faso, which was and still is quite a challenging project given the entire situation in Burkina Faso, also with the terrorist background in some of the areas there. But we are moving ahead, and we presume that we will finish this project at the end of this year. Then the new addition to our project is in Africa is Togo. Togo is a project in the field of cancer treatment. It is a special clinic in Lomé, and we have just started implementation of this project in late December, early January of this year, and the project will take us about 3 years time. So for us, persistency is a very important factor in that. But let me add also one more point. Since we are a small and medium-sized company, we have to look for windows of opportunities. It is very difficult for us to work on a market on a strategic basis and to have permanent setups there. So we are working a lot with local representatives, and it is very important to find the correct local representatives that you can trust. And so it is very important that you frequently travel and visit your representatives and also visit the countries that you envision when it comes to project business. For us, it means that we are looking into financing possibilities. So when we look at certain countries, we see, or we have a look, what are the financing possibilities in terms of either concessional financing or also in terms of ECA financing, so export credits. A number of our projects in Africa are actually projects that are not financed concessionally, but financed commercially. And one thing I would like to mention here, and it is of extremely importance to companies like us, that currently when we are talking about an export credit, you need to have 15% down payment, which has been put up by the client locally. This is currently reduced to 5%, and we do hope that in the OECD the discussion will continue that this prevails. The 5% is on the condition that you have a sovereign guarantee at the end of the day. So for us, it was a winner to frequently visit the countries where we are active. And again, I can only say, do use the network of the Chamber of Commerce. The trade commissioners that are active here, they are very experienced and usually give you a very, very good overview about what you have to expect when you enter these markets. And I think that this is extremely important, not to try and learn it the hard way by yourself. There has been a lot of experience in this field, and do get the relevant information from the trade commissioners and from the Chamber of Commerce. This helped us a lot in a lot of markets, not only in Africa but also in Asia. So another thing is, when you structure a project in Africa, try to make a project that is in itself a project that does not depend too much on input from your customers in terms of pre-installation requirements, because in many cases they will not in a position to come up with these. Especially in the poorer countries, it is extremely important that you make sure the projects that you are carrying out are projects in itself, and you do not depend too much on input from your client when it comes to investments. Because this could stall your project considerably, and it could lead to a very long-term project implementation, and maybe even to a stop of the project, which then can become very, very costly. Again, representation, I have mentioned, it is very important that you find trustworthy people that you can cooperate with, and then try to see where you can, when it comes to project business, where is financing available, which countries are in need of the products or the projects that you do, and then just go and try. And whenever there is a trade mission, join them. That would be my advice. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Stremitzer, for giving us some insights also how to be successful on the continent. And I remember this trade mission in autumn 2020, because, well, now we can say it was lockdown in Austria. So we had a big discussion, can we go, should we not go? But you mentioned partnership, you mentioned commitment, you mentioned this, that we have to show that we really want to have a serious partnership with the continent. And I can say this trade mission had a couple of successful projects coming out of it because we showed commitment. And everybody was prepared when coming back to be in quarantine and so on. So we really showed commitment, helped us a lot. Last not least, thank you for the companies. It was last not least, we delve a little bit into the field of in the environmental field, in the field of waste separation, waste management, and I'm very happy that I have Markus MAIERHOFER with me. Please, Markus. And Markus, he's not only, he is the Director General or the owner of a company, FIMA, based in Ghana. And he's also the Africa representative of the Austrian company KOMPTECH in the field of waste separation, waste management, but also I think woody biomass energy solutions. You are also in a partnership since 2018 with the Ghanaian company Jospong Group. And it started in 2018, but nowadays you have a turnover of more than 60, maybe more nowadays, more than 60 million euro. So this was a very successful project. Please give us some insights.
Thanks, Michael. First of all, this is always a picture. Take out your phones, please, and put into Google the real size of Africa. Please do that and have a look how big Africa is. So Google the real size of Africa and take pictures and see the real size of Africa. You will see that everything is inside. Europe is inside, Japan is inside, US is inside, so the continent is of really big size. And for us, there is so much potential because the future is there. Today, the Excellency Nana from Ghana, he was saying it that Africa will double its size until 2050 in case of population. But coming to business, what we are doing with FIMA Africa, we represent KOMPTECH, which is the biggest waste plant producer in the world, or one of the biggest, and we represent also company Faun, which is the biggest waste collecting drug producer from Europe. So together we have a significant reference already. We have a real good footprint in the Ekkehart area. We delivered meanwhile nearly more than 90 million euros of waste treatment equipment and the logistics for it. So a standard waste treatment equipment, it is, you know, they don't collect their waste. So far everything was going to the sea, it was going to the rivers, they just dumped it. They dumped it illegally. So the first front runner is Ghana. In Ghana, we have delivered to all counties, to each Bundesland. We delivered at least one small waste treatment plant. We opened it with the Excellency, the President of Ghana, a number of times. Even the biggest waste treatment plant of Africa, which is a European standard plant. So more or less, we delivered and installed the equipment, a big plant. We opened it, and the Faun trucks bring the collected waste to the plant, and they treat it. And this, what I say now, if you do waste treatment, nobody knows it, because we as Otto Normalbürger, we just throw it away, and Saubermacher, Müllex, whoever in Austria is doing it. And in Africa, it's the same problem. But we also have education problem. You have to make campaigning that the people know what to do. So we have delivered so many plants, and this means that we delivered also jobs for the people. We delivered also perspectives for the people. And additionally to that, if you make waste treatment, you save a lot of tons of CO2. One of our plants is saving at least 100,000 tons of CO2 per year, because we treat the waste and not just dump it. We produce compost out of it, which the people can use as fertilizer. So they don't import the fertilizer. They produce compost out of the resource waste and use it, and additionally they reduce CO2. We can even sell CO2 certificates at the moment. So this we are doing. We think that we have created some thousand jobs, and we save with the plant 700,000-800,000 tons of CO2 a year. So this is a massive footprint, let's say. We use the projects as lighthouse effects. A lot of people, ministers, presidents were visiting our plants already around. When it comes to Africa, because this was the intro question, when it comes to to Africa, you need a long brief. You need to be really a solution seeker, so you should look into problems. You have to be fast, because in Africa they have more time for the things. But I try to work out my homework immediately, because then I have to wait. So I have to speed it up all the time, because it takes time in Africa. That's completely normal. And what is also really important, because OEKB is also here, it's the financing. All our businesses we did was always together with an export credit. So at the moment it's a bit more difficult in this business, because through the Ukraine war, Ukraine-Russian situation, the inflation in the emerging markets was going up, and a lot of countries had been downgraded. So I think that there is also some politic willingness necessary to go into the African market. You have to take the people serious and respectful, but always have to be careful, because there's always there can also be sometimes crime behind some stories, and that's why it's really important that we have the Advantage Austria team, which is really has, in my opinion, such an official instrument in such countries. The trade commissioners, they go into like an ambassador, and this makes it really serious. And all the time, if something happens, we can check with the office, with the local office, if this is serious or not. So, and also on trade missions, we are really thankful, because they organize it in a quite good way. doesn't matter if from South Africa or from Kenya or from Lagos, the support is always there. So thank you very much. We can.